And your feet are about hip width apart. And then you're just gonna start moving your hips in a circle. I always like this one. This one feels good.
Pain.
Get some stretching going. Yeah. Oh, you can do that. Yeah. Get some inhales and some exhales.
Stretch.
And then we will reverse direction. Keep breathing. Inhale, exhale. All right. And then pause and just observe how your body's feeling. You feel good? Yeah? All right, last one, we're just gonna do a little body movement to just wake up our body. So just kind of bounce around, get the energy coming back. Keep breathing, inhale, exhale, sigh it out. Another inhale, exhale, sigh it out. All right, that concludes our movement.
People in the mall was like,
I know, it was
It's kind of different, but we want to keep things energized here.
yeah.
All right, so I don't think we have our mics on, but that's okay because we're moving into the Q&A portion, and we're really here for you. So we want to know what questions you have. You have this incredible group of educators and entertainers and people that wear so many hats. They have so much to teach us. So now is the time to really answer your questions. So the way this will work is, if you have a question, raise your hand. Once we get the mics going, we'll bring a mic over. We got mics. I got a mic.
You got a mic.
All right. Hey, that works. So yes, I'll bring my mic over and then you can ask your question. So who wants to kick us off? Who has a question?
The mic guy just showed up.
Oh, the mic guy showed up. All right. So, Lawrence, could you give her the mic to ask her question?
We were talking about on-set careers. I was wondering about post-production, pre-production. So it seemed to be even harder to be networking when you're not on set. What would you say about that?
Good question. Who wants to take it?
Well, post-production is an isolated kind of thing. You are sort of, but we think of post-production as being post. There is avenue on sets for data management and for digital imaging technologists, people that are doing color correcting and doing rough cuts on set. And that'll happen in today's day and age. A lot of things are being shot in raw format. And raw, when it's processed, looks beautiful, but when it's coming out of the camera, looks horrible. And if you are on a commercial shoot and you've got a client there that's spending $5 million for this commercial, and they look at a monitor and they see something that looks horrible, I guarantee they lack the imagination to trust you to believe that it's good. So there's a lot of opportunities on set for people who can rapidly do a rough cut and color correct and say, this is what it's going to eventually look like. And that position didn't exist 15 years ago. As far as editing, one of the benefits though for editors today is you don't have to be anywhere near the production to be part of the editing team. And if you can start working, if you're trying to build up a demo reel or something, I would reach out to students and low budget films that are being made and say, hey, I'm looking to do some post-production because I want to do it for my reel, and I will give you, don't just say, I'll edit your film. Say, I will give you 20 hours of editing, provided I get to, a watermark it or whatever, but I get to market what I've cut for you on my reel. And you can build up a portfolio doing that. Never, by the way, I'm just freelance advice, when you're setting up a deal with a client, always put in there how many edits they get to see before you charge again. Like, I'll cut this for a flat fee. I'm gonna give you this, you'll have an approval edit, you can make notes, I will make your notes, and then we're done. unless you wanna pay me more. If you don't put that in there, you'll have clients that are always changing your mind. But you can be anywhere and do that. And if you look at an app like Staff Me Up, which is a freelancer app, you can go on there as a producer and say, I'm coming to town, I need people. And if you want work, go to staffmeup.com and you can put yourself there as an editor. And you could get hired for something that's, shooting in Bulgaria, and they're uploading the footage and you're cutting it and sending it back to them. And it can all happen completely remotely, so that the opportunities for editors are so advanced now that didn't exist. It used to be you had to be tied into an edit house, and that was it. And now, just with some investments, the thing is, learn as many platforms as you can for editing, because you're gonna need to be able to edit on whatever they want you to edit on. So that means that you should know Avid, that means you should know Premiere, that means you should know DaVinci, that means you should know Final Cut, that means you should know everything that you can know as an editor. The fundamentals are all there, but even if there's another freelancer trick, even if I've only opened up an app and looked at it, and somebody says, do you have any experience on that app? Oh yeah. I'm gonna go get it, but if I can get the job by saying, oh yeah, the answer's always yes in that regard. Yep, no problem. Then you find out where the problem is, but when you're talking to a client, yeah. Now I understand the networking from an editor standpoint. You can still go to like the First Thursdays. You can still go to events, because you'll meet people who are doing stuff and have a need. And eventually you get that reel, you get it out there, and then people start contacting you in a larger realm. So.
Interesting you said that. Yesterday, I think the young lady was around us yesterday. She's looking for an editor. And she says, I'm always looking for editors. There's lots of people who are looking for people who are willing to, I don't have the attention span to sit down and do that. But there are people that do that well, and like he said, get your reel and find places where you can network, because there are people sitting amongst you that really want editors. They don't want, they're like me, I'll tell you what I want, and then you create. The other advice I would give you too is be ready to work with someone who does not know what they want. They have an image in their head, and you have to do everything to pry it out of their head, because they know what they want, but they can't speak it. They can't speak the language. So be ready to make it to a point where you can understand what they want, because that half the battle is won if you can, work with the client and you know what they're really wanting as an end result.
Before you jump in,
Thank you.
what is the name of the woman that always needs editors? So
Gigi M. Green.
So you need to get the name.
I have her contact information. I promise you I'll give it to you.
So-
Absolutely. I'm
So
all
come
about
up and give her
collaboration.
contact information,
Yeah.
and that's how
You
this
got
can
it.
work.
Not a problem. Yeah, I'm all for it. Yes.
So,
Yes.
now, I'm sorry, I
No,
just wanted
I
to
was
make sure
just-
she got a job.
I was gonna add on, sometimes you have to be the bearer of bad news when you have to tell the client, you didn't give me what I need to give you what you want. Cause sometimes they think they have like hot stuff, or this is fantastic, it's gonna be great. And then you have to go back and say, well, actually, I don't have enough. You didn't give me what I need to provide you the thing that you're wanting me to make for you. As far as adjacent, I know this is like adjacent careers, there are, lots of videographers who are really good at capturing things, but who are not as skilled in the edit. And so I would maybe even pair up with a local videographer who just wants to be there capturing the images and doesn't want to go spend 8 to 10 hours editing the thing. And then just develop a relationship with 1 or 2 videographers who will just kind of farm out their editing to you in the style that they want you to edit in.
And also, just pairing off of stuff, this is just for everybody. Because everything is accessible, everybody can fall in the trap of, I should know how to do all of this. What you need to know is there are people who know it better than you, and if you have a client who's gonna pay you, you pay somebody, say, like you said, I don't have the patience for that, so I'm gonna hire an editor. There's things that I like doing, but I know somebody's gonna do it better, and that will free me up to do my job even better than I was doing. If I try to spread myself too thin by doing everything, then problems occur. So there are specialists out there that you can hire. You can be the specialist, or you can be the person who's hiring that specialist. But there's always somebody who can help you.
Who has another question?
So I wanted to piggyback off of a couple of things that you guys said. First of all, there is a Houston meetup for Post. It's called the Houston Post Meetup, and if anybody knows Dan Diaz, the colorist, their next meetup is Wednesday the 15th, I think. It's on Instagram if you do. And so, because one of the interesting things about Houston is that crew doesn't show up to First Thursdays, you know, it's more of the producer, writer, director, actors, you know, and then the people who are working in the corporate commercial world do steak night, which is another thing that happens. They haven't done it in a while. And then this post meetup, apparently crew will show up to the post meetup because they all like to hang out with each other. So, but I also think that one of the things that's really interesting and want to get your perspective on is that so much depends on the market that you're in. So for example, here in Houston, being more of a generalist is kind of required because there isn't enough work. So if you can be a UPM, a CAMOP, a DIT, you know, whatever, like those are things that you still have to kind of brand yourself and like promote yourself as whatever the one thing is that, but then be like, oh, you know, if they already have a cinematographer, be like, oh, well, you know, I could do sound, you know, like I have enough credits to say that, you know, whatever, with authority. But if you're in a place like LA, you know, it's like, if you're a cam op and all of a sudden you want to be a boom op, you know, or like sound mixer, they'll be like, no. You know, like, they just won't even, it's so hard to break out of like the role that you're in. And so I think it's interesting just kind of like, how do you navigate or advise, you know, people depending on kind of where they are?
I'm gonna take that first.
Go for it.
Actually, you're absolutely right. So I teach my students to have multiple skills because Houston is a more generalist area. And I attended a panel like this. I was one of y'all. And it was a lot of people who do a lot of commercial and production work. And I was just like, how can I get a job? But what they were saying is that they're all using the same handful of production designers because there's not enough production designers that they trust. And I'm like, hello, we teach students, why aren't you saying this is what I need you to build for me for the city of Houston? I need a crop of production designers. That to me makes sense. So now what I'm going to do is at least have a couple of units or a couple of weeks of teaching production design to see which students that I love that, and let them run with it. So we would need, as instructors, we would really need to know what y'all need. You know, what are you looking for? You know, are you looking for someone to be a great animator? Are you looking for someone to paint sets? You know, what are you looking for so that we can train students? Because one of the things that I can tell my students, you are not going to be a director or a producer out the gate. I'm so sorry. But there are so many other, and I make them watch the credits, by the way. There are so many other positions. My son is laughing because I make him stay. But there are so many other positions that are out there. Look at all the things that you can do to be on a set and have a regular gig. So yeah, I definitely do that with my students.
Yeah, when you are, that's something you should always do, just career-wise, is be willing to learn. Be willing to learn new things to better yourself, but also the more you know, you'll know whether or not the person that you're working with is doing their job right. If you go in blind, if you say, hey, I'm just gonna be a director, and that's all you know, you won't know whether or not your cinematographer's wasting their time. You won't know, you never, it's that matter of trust. I wanna trust them, but let's go back to Reagan, trust but verify.
I do have trust issues.
I wanna know that and that trust, learning how to trust people is one of the biggest issues on a film set is, I've told them to do something, and I need to trust that they're gonna do it right. I might know that I can do it, and I wanna go over there and do it, but as soon as I'm doing that, I'm not doing whatever I'm supposed to be doing. I need to learn how to trust, and trust that they're operating, that they're doing what I hired them to do. But part of that is me knowing what I hired them to do. That they're doing it right, they're doing it safely, they're doing it efficiently, they're not wasting my time, my money, the set, the crew's time and money. So the more you can learn about everything, the better you're in life. Just expanding, learning other things is always keep learning, or you stop. You just gotta keep learning.
They had fantastic answers. I don't really have anything else to add.
No worries. Other thoughts or questions from the audience?
Anything.
I have a silly question. What's your favorite movie? I mean, I thought that's what.
We're still Wi-Fi.
It's something in your top three. Come on. I know it's hard to choose favorite. Oh, we have one. Yes. Go for it.
So, for a young person, right, who's getting into the film and the media industry, any dime given to you, you should invest into your future self, right? What advice would you say that I can put my investment, other than putting my best bet on myself? What should I invest in?
I can tell you what not to invest in. One thing, a lot of students starting out is like, what camera should I buy? Don't.
Yeah.
Don't. You can rent. You can, don't have an overhead when you're first starting out. You don't want to be bogged down by debt. And wait, believe me, I am bogged down by debt and debt. But don't tie yourself up saying, I need this camera, it's the newest, it's the coolest thing. Well, guess what? It's already obsolete. If you're gonna spend money, grip equipment, lights, there are C-stands that were made, the first C-stand, I'm sure is still functioning today. It was well made and they last. So that kind of thing, but as you're investing, as you're working on a financial aspect, think about, look, I've gotten hired for this job and I'm gonna have to rent this piece of equipment. I'm gonna have to rent this piece of equipment for 7 days. And if I spend 7 days of rental, I might as well buy it. So now I buy it and then I can rent it to other people. So it becomes it's not a burden. It's something that you, instead of saying, I'm spending the money on rental, I've got a job that's gonna pay me to buy it. And then I never have to rent it again. That's an investment that is a wise investment. On a personal level, seeing as much as you can see and what other people have done, so that you know everything we're making is built on the shoulders of people who've made it before. Everything, and that's not just film. That's the art world. That's go to the museums, go see, go to the Photofest was in town, go to Photofest, see what other people are doing and creating. And know where you stand in that whole thing, but you can learn so much by seeing what other people are making, not just in film, but read. Yeah, so grow on a personal level, and then invest in that, and then financially, if the job pays for it, then buy it.
Thank you.
sorry, I get along with you guys.
And at least one QR code business card.
Okay, I know I talk a lot, but create. Don't stop. Just start creating. Make some mistakes. Do some stuff and see, ooh, I like that angle. I've always wondered how, when I watch, what's the series, Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad? Those are some sick angles that they use, and I'm just wondering, where the hell y'all get that from, right? But that's somebody that, I don't know, had their camera and was just saying, I think I want to see what it looks like shooting in between two steps, and what that looks like, right? Just go innovate and do some things that nobody's doing, or imitate someone that you like, a scene or something that you like, and start to imitate that and recreate it from your eyes to see what that's like, because that's a skill that you will build over time, and then you're developing your eye, you're developing your creative, and someone is going to want that. So start creating your own stuff, right? Put it on your reel.
On that note, first season of Luther, if you've ever seen it,
Yes.
they know the rules for composition and then they break them in such an inventive way. Second season, they throw that away. But the first season of Luther cinematography is incredible, and Idris Elba's amazing in it. But as you're creating stuff, a lot of people first time start out and they'll say, like students will say, well, I'm gonna make a feature film. Why? You haven't put together 5 minutes of coherence that you want to make a feature film. But the stuff that you're creating, as you're making something, it doesn't just have to be I'm creating it for just to create. You can say, I do want to do an action film. So I better learn how to do how to shoot a fight. I need to learn how to do that. So you could make just a fight. You could say, I want to do a movie that's an interpersonal drama. So I'm gonna shoot some scenes that really test how I can work with actors. But those little things you can create are things that are building blocks to learn how to do the big thing. It's you gotta crawl before you can walk, and walk before you can run.
So I'm not a film professional, but I did watch a really cool movie yesterday and got a lesson that may help you. The movie, I believe, was called Color Able, and it was about a high school student that wanted to go be a photographer. But her father was not very supportive of this. It turns out it's because she was colorblind, and her father thought that she couldn't capture the images in color. And so the film shows her kind of going and being really hesitant as she's trying to take pictures. And she meets a person that encourages her to see the world through her eyes. And she was so inspired by this, and so she started taking so many great pictures. And so, to kind of build on what's been said here, it's like honor your unique skills, your unique interests, your unique lived experience, right? No one sees things quite the way you see them, and there's incredible value in that. And check out the movie, Color Able. I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. It was a short yesterday.
That is the name of it. It's from Japan.
Did you have something else to add?
Something that I came up with on my journey here, and I wanted to add on what you said, actually. I swear, this came from my head. I did not pull this off of Pinterest. You mentioned the eyes, right? Something about like everyone has something, I wrote this down, and it says, everyone's eyes have a story and possibly possess treasures and gold others have prayed for. Just that.
You have the answers inside of yourself. That's beautiful.
I'm done.
I'm like, that's like a mic drop moment.
Don't drop that mic, please. That's my salary, don't drop the mic.
Other thoughts or questions? Yes.
I don't really have a question. I just want to testify to something that was said earlier about time management and showing up on time. I'm in Keith's a single cam production class, and on the day that I was directing for the first time, he fired half my crew because they showed up late, including the DP.
Give him a round of applause.
Because I absolutely love that. Fire everybody. I fired my class. Yeah.
Early is on time is late, so late on time.
We just said lock that studio door, they're not here, they're replaced. So. And you still got the project done.
Yeah.
It's done.
Yeah.
It's not great, but it's done.
And they'll
Houston-
never be late again.
Houston is small, so you don't want to burn bridges. Not here, not here. So, just get outside of yourself and be trustworthy and honorable. And if the call time is 8 o'clock, you're there at 7:30, 7:45.
Producers talk. And if I'm thinking about hiring somebody, I'm gonna reach out to other people and say, have you worked with them? And if you burned a bridge with them, you probably burned that bridge with me before we even had a chance. But if you did a great job, they're gonna say, oh yeah, I wish I could hire them all the time. So just be aware of that. But if you're,
I think that's also important though, from when you're starting out, which it can be hard when you're the one looking for the job, but I think it's so important to vet the people that you might be working for, because it's not that hard to get on the Houston Film Commission website, you know what I mean, to like be on that newsletter and like post a group or casting call. There are a lot of scams out there, and or people that like have been doing a lot of work, but they're bad at paying people, or they'll run you 20 hours a day, and and it's dangerous, and so I think it's really important when you're just starting out to ask for references for the people that you're
well, yeah, know who you're.
looking for that job, like inquire, like, hey, have you worked for this person, like see what they've done before, and like talk to other people and be like, when can I expect my paycheck,
Just like producers will talk crew, we'll be glad to let you know whether or not the person that's gonna hire you
Yeah.
is good to work for, because there are, in every marketplace, there are people who are gonna take advantage of. When somebody says, I want you to do this for me, do not be shy about saying, okay, what's the hours, what's the rate? Do not be shy about asking about the money you expect up front, because a lot of people will say, oh yeah, no, we thought you understood, this was just a pro bono, this was just a trial to see whether or not we wanted to hire you. I've had students that have been taken advantage of because they didn't say up front, because they were worried about it. They didn't want to price themselves out. I'm like, you're not. They should be paying you, so don't be shy about asking. But yeah, there are a lot of people, unfortunately, there are a lot of people in town that will take advantage of a crew member who is just starting out because they know you just want the job, and you should verify.
Yes, and if you don't value yourself, no one's gonna value you, and if you don't have that clarity, it's very easy to get taken advantage of, and I think what you allow continues, right? So if you just kind of keep putting your head down and playing small, you're missing out on a bigger opportunity set for yourself. So always own your strengths and abilities. All right, other thoughts or questions? I still want to know what their favorite movie is, but they don't like that question, so.
It's impossible to answer.
Yeah.
Question.
Go ahead.
So you were saying that talent can be trained. I wonder what kind of equipment do you use to train talent muscles?
Well, if you're on set, the more you're on set, the more you can learn, and the faster you should become at that skill set. There's simple skills, and if at the end of the day, you've had a bad day on set, and you're like, don't be shy about saying, I need to be better, and if somebody, saying, hey, I need to do this better, faster, can you help me? And there'll be a lot of people who could put in a little time to make you better, but if you realize, I didn't do that right, I need to figure that out and fix it. And there are things that you will have natural affinity for, and if you have natural affinity for it, one of the dangers is if it's easy for you, you think everything's gonna be easy and you become complacent. Hoagie Carmichael, I don't know if anybody knows who that was, Hoagie Carmichael, he wrote some wonderful, he wrote Georgia on My Mind. Anyway, writing songs for him was tremendously easy, and when he was about to die, he said, I wish it wasn't so easy because I would have written more songs. But it was so easy, I didn't do enough, because he could just do it. And so if you have that natural affinity, you've got to challenge yourself. And if it's difficult, then you've got to be willing to put in the time to train yourself. There's natural ability and natural talent, but then you can be really good at something because you've just put in the time.
So I had the opportunity to take a pool of students and rotate them. We shot for a television show called HBCU Go. We just wrapped from 8 weeks of shooting on Texas Southern University's campus and around Houston. And it was great because what we got to do is, someone flaked out, then PA, you come here, you hold this boom mic, and these are your levels, I want you to watch this. I had trainings for DIT, I had trainings for all kinds of positions, and they all got to do different things that they've never done in the classroom. But now they're getting real world experience for footage that's really going to be used. So it wasn't playtime, it was real set work. And they learned quickly that if they're not on time, they're not getting asked to come back. So that also, one sacrificial lamb got everybody in line. But they were all able to, I can say this emphatically, that everyone that worked as a student on that set did everything. Camera work, grip, gaff, all of it. And they all got to have real world experience. And for me, I think that was the best way to learn new skills and talent.
Christian, I'm wondering if you can expand. You were talking about the importance of self-awareness, and that seems to be resonating.
Yeah, I was thinking, I always want, like, a good kind of test, like litmus test is, like, do you know how to ask questions? Like, do you have the initiative to ask a question when you don't know what's going on, or when you have a question? But also, do you know what question to ask to get what you need? So I can hear one of my former professors in the back of my head saying to me, what do you need? Go get it. Like, what do you need? Go get it. And if there's something that you need, or a question that you have, just go figure it out. Which is, it's a hard thing to hear, but it's also the truth. Like, you just go do it. So that would be, if I was wanting to nurture a talent or a skill, well, what do I not know? I need to just go do it.
Yeah, I think something to expand on that point is you can start with a small step. You don't, like they were saying earlier, you don't have to start with your feature film. It's get creative, get curious, and I think it's action builds momentum. Momentum builds the experience that you need to be able to discern, do I like this thing or not? Right? Like, I think every person here on this stage, their career path has not been linear, and that makes it fun, right? It's this experimentation process. Yeah.
One of the my favorite experiences, and I want to do this again soon. I've done several 48-hour film festivals with friends, and so it's low pressure. It's low. Yeah, it's okay. It's low pressure. It's low stakes. I did one during COVID, and it was chaos. So we were all committed. We were wearing masks, and there was Germex all the time, and we were all distance from each other, which was really hard to do in production. But going back to playfulness and fun, you're so much more willing to try something new when you are not afraid of being the person of dropping the ball and everything falling apart. And so when you can have fun and it becomes something that you enjoy, that will nurture that desire to try something new, or to go the extra mile, or to try something that won't work just because you want to try it. You want to see what happens when I do X, Y, Z thing. So I would do some 48s, even like friends who know nothing about film, getting them on set, like, this is your job. And they're like, what? They feel really like official, like they're doing the thing. And then you start to realize that that's all it is. We're just people doing what we love together. We're just having fun with it. And so those are moments for me where I'm like, yes, like this is invigorating and fun.
If I could say something before I forget, that whole training we mentioned earlier. As far as protecting yourself, there are avenues, if you're ever in a situation where you think that something is not right or ethical or anything, the Texas Attorney General's office has a guidelines for safe set operations. You can also, if there's issues where you think the director's bad, you can report to the Directors Guild of America, you can report to SAG, you can actually call OSHA if you're in a situation that is an unsafe situation. I had a student call to ask me for those numbers because they were on a reality show shooting in West Texas that basically was just shooting machine guns in the desert, and they were putting camera operators under the line of fire of machine guns. And she said, there's no paramedic out here, there's no ambulance, there's nothing, this is terrible, what do I do? And so I gave her those numbers and said, keep your head down and get off that set. But, so there are avenues that you can reach out to that are out there, or phone numbers that you can call. And you could also reach out to any of us, and I'm volunteering everybody, but reach out if there's ever a situation like, I think this was not right. And we'll see if we can help out in that regard, because it's learning. On set, though, understand the hierarchy of the set. If you're in the grip department and there's a problem, you don't go to the director and say there's a problem. You tell the key grip, and the key grip will tell the AD, and the AD will figure out whether or not they need to tell the producer to handle it. The director kind of keep out of the loop of the set things because they need to focus on that job. But there are avenues. Now, if you go straight from a grip to the producer, you might solve the problem, but you're probably not going to get hired again. But you've got to respect the channels of communication on the set and say, hey, this cable's bad. Talk to the gaffer. The gaffer won't fix it and tell the AD that somebody's going to get electrocuted. Then the AD has the authority to tell the gaffer that, hey, this is unsafe. Or if they won't handle it, they have the authority to tell the producer. But you find those channels and understand how a set works and respect how that works.
So, as a wrap up to this incredible panel, I would love to hear your parting words of wisdom and inspiration and motivation for this audience. And we'll go down the line, starting with Lamonde.
Christian!
Oh, yes, with Christian. Okay, because she, every time I start with
Parting words. I had something, now it's gone. I think, just make things. Like, I would just, to the young man's question about, like, what do I invest in? I mean, I'm a mom now, so my time is so little. It's work or, home life and things like that. I think I cherish the moments when I get to do things like this, or when I get to be on set, or when I get to watch, like at South by Southwest, I saw some incredible docu-shorts, and I was like, this is amazing, like, I want to make that thing. And so setting aside concentrated time for your craft every day. Somebody recently kind of posed the question, like, the only question you should be asking yourself is, did you work today? Did you work today? Not did what you write, was it fantastic, right? But did you do the work today? And if you can sit with yourself and say, yes, like I did the work today, then you're moving forward and you're doing what you love. So I would just write that down somewhere, put it by your desk. Did I do the work today? And use that as a check-in with yourself every day, if you want to do the thing that you love for the rest of your life.
Okay. Be bold, be brave, be fearless. As a filmmaker, that's what you got to do. You can't be afraid of what somebody's going to think about your vision or your art. Be bold, be brave, be fearless.
I know I said it was done. But you are a script writer, right? You write?
I have screenplays that I've written, yes.
Okay, great. As far as characters, you know, which character surprised you the most during the development?
Ooh, that's a good question. I find the characters that surprise me the most are typically my antagonists. Like whatever character, so your antagonists have to be real people. And so I always find in the discovery process of like the opposing force to whatever my protagonist wants or needs, they unravel that. And so it's in discovering how they do that they become real and that they become actually in conflict with my character. So until I can make my antagonist a real person in my mind, that's kind of the most interesting part to me, is figuring out who they are.
And before all this, you picked a genre, right?
No, actually. Oh, this is good. I like talking screenwriting. So all of my screenplays have really started with a moment, like a moment in my head that I see. And then it's an investigative process in figuring out the world and the genre and the tone, and all of that comes afterwards for me, but that's my personal writing process.
Awesome.
Yeah.
There are a lot of writing books out there and a lot of screenwriting classes where they'll tell you this is the way you do it, and then there are people that just do it, and it comes from a lot of different avenues. That starting point that I want to investigate that, but so if you write, and don't worry about I'm not writing how I'm supposed to be writing, write, and then it can always be edited and fine-tuned. On the note on the antagonist, an actor was working, actor Brett Cullen was doing a workshop with my students, and somebody asked about playing a villain. He's like, I don't play villains. Anybody I have, they might be the antagonist, but I still have to know that what they're doing, they believe is right.
100%.
So you need to write your antagonist as a real person, because someone's going to have to act that. And someone's going to have to read those lines and say, why am I saying these lines? What do I believe what I'm saying? Who could believe this? They need to be real. Everybody needs to be real. Sorry.
No, that's okay.
I love that.
All right.
Okay,
Drum roll,
okay,
drum
all right,
roll.
it's me. I'm gonna pitch. I want to know what everyone is working on, and to know that I have an amazing amount of connections, that if I can't help you, I know who can. So I just want you to know that, just feel empowered and emboldened to, if you see me and you want something, to come and ask me for it. I'm gonna put my producer hat on. But also, if you need me to grow those people, I need to know that too. So, that's my words of wisdom.
I like it, I like it. I'm gonna add some words of wisdom, and it is to live in the present moment. You build meaningful relationships in the present moment, you create in the present moment, you take action in the present moment. And I think, as we were kind of talking earlier, sometimes we have these big audacious goals and they're incredible, and you gotta start somewhere, right? So you don't have to have it all figured out, the whole plan mapped out. It's just like, be present and keep at it. You know, did you work today? Work every day. And I think you will develop an incredible career that is film adjacent, or maybe film direct. So with that, we will wrap it up, and thank you so much. Let's hear for our panelists. Oh, you have another question. One more question. Come on, Mr. Jeremy. You could just, yeah.
Do you have a microphone?
There we go.
But we won't get it on the recording without the mic, so.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Nitin. I have a question for all three. When we are starting our career, we all have pure dreams. Then we are starting working in industry. We have some bad experience, and these dreams sometimes damaged. sometimes tired, sometimes we can give up some dreams. And after years, our dreams style is changing. How is this situation by you? Also,
I have an unorthodox answer. I know about myself that I'm not an entrepreneur. I know that I'm somebody's right-hand woman. Like, so for me, I quickly was like, oh, I don't think I want to do, I don't want to be a producer. I don't want to be a director. I don't want to be the person that has to make all of the expensive decisions, but I can be somebody who knows my job forwards and backwards and who is the person you go to when you need a reliable human being to help you. And so once I realized that, I just leaned into it hard. So I just did my job, whatever job I had, I'm gonna do that job to the best of my ability to support the person's dreams I'm working for. And so for me, it was this evaluative process where the dream, some people they really have this passionate dream. My dream is to be a good person and be a good mom and be a good wife. And if I'm doing that and I also get to do these cool things, awesome. So that's my unorthodox answer. I think you just have to take stock of what's underneath this big dream that I have, and is that thing the only thing that's going to give me value and meaning? Because what happens is, if that's it, and you get there, and that one day you get that thing, then you're gonna be like, well, what do I do next? You could be deflated, and you're always pushing for the highest, which isn't bad. Ambition is good, but I think it's just a measure of asking yourself, what was missing when I got to the pinnacle moment that I didn't have? And if you sacrifice that on the way to get there, maybe that was the misstep in the journey. I don't know.
Okay, on a personal note, back in Dallas-Fort Worth area, I had a film production company with two partners, and there was another producer in town. He started out where we were, doing corporate industrial marketing things, and he worked up and had just produced a multi-million-dollar film with Patrick Stewart in it. And we had set that as, we want to be, in 5 years, we want to be where he is. And I was at a corporate event. It was a Christmas party for an industry Christmas party. And I was sitting at the end of a bar, and I looked down at the other end of the bar was that guy that we wanted to be in 5 years, slowly drinking himself into oblivion. And I thought I had a moment. Okay, there. I also had a disastrous relationship at the time. But I had this moment that I realized that my dream was to be that guy. And then that made me reassess that my business partners were quite happy. I think they still have the company going. They were quite happy doing that. I'm like, am I happy doing this? And that's when I said, I'm walking away. And I went and got an MFA in photography, came back home, reevaluated what was going on, and figured out what made me happy was teaching other people to go out and pursue their dreams. It was a radical dream shift, but it's like, well, I was much more financially stable with that company than I was coming back and going to grad school and teaching. Teaching is not the way to make a lot of money. I don't know what you've heard on the streets, but it's not the avenue for wealth.
It pays bills.
But it pays the bills, and on a purely spiritual level, I'm a better person doing what I'm doing and helping people have their future than I would have been pursuing my dreams. So sometimes your dreams change, but the thing is, bad experiences, don't let somebody else steal your joy. You've got this, I want this, you were just a horrible person, and it was a bad experience, but that doesn't mean I'm bad for it. I can be better because I know what to look for in that bad experience so it doesn't happen again. So don't let anybody steal your joy. And listen to the Lucinda Williams song, Joy, which is basically her really angrily saying, you stole my joy, I want it back. But it's a good one to listen to when somebody takes your joy away from you.
Okay, so Keith almost took everything out that I'm saying. But what I really want to tell you, I'm a person whose dream was killed. And I grew up in that family. So I got rid of the dream killers. I don't have dream killers around me. Not even,
I'm sorry, but yes.
I don't do dream killers. So it doesn't matter what my dream is, I'm going to find the people that support that dream. And that's who I'm surrounding myself with. Now, I might find myself on a set with some undesirable people, right?
Sure.
But if, see, I'm switching that back to you. But they're not killing my dream. I'm building a foundation, and they're part of the build. So just because they might be a curmudgeon, they're part of the build, they're part of the skills building time, but they're not my goal. You know, they're just part of the journey. But I don't hang around dream killers. Once you start doubting, oh, it was nice to meet you, and I'm off, right? I love to come to places like this because you guys are dream catchers. You're the ones that make me want to just say, I'm not going to class today, class canceled, let me get out there and do something, right? Because it lifts my spirit. I watch a Ryan Coogler film and now I'm ready to just do Sinners too. You know what I mean? It's just, that just rises in me, and I got no money, but I'm ready to do it, right? Because that's my dream and I'm owning it. And there's nothing that anyone here can take that away from me, because what I'll do is when you start, I'm just leaving. And I'm finding the people who are in alignment with me. So that's mine.
What powerful words to close on. Let's have another round of applause for Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of the film festival.
Now I gotta go pay bills. I gotta go.
It was a pleasure.
Yeah, so nice to see you.
Very nice to meet you.
Well done, team. Great job.
Thank you.